I said, just clear your mind, think about anything you'd like to hear about, and I guess I was trying to be spiritual, like I hadn't quite found my way, and like just be positive and da da da. And then all of a sudden, I started to hear music.
Welcome back to the Soul Collective podcast. I am so grateful you're here. Today, I'm joined by such a special guest. It is truly an honor to connect with Kyle Gray, who is an international speaker, spiritual teacher, and best-selling author of 8 books, including Angel Prayers, Raise Your Vibration, and his newest book, Divine Masters, Ancient Wisdom. He's also created 4 oracle decks and is world renowned for bringing a modern and exciting face to the angels, ancestors, and ascended masters. Kyle, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I want to start by asking you what right now is setting your soul on fire?
Setting my soul on fire. Oh, I guess doing less. I think the last year has been challenging for many people, but it's also had great opportunity to slow down and do less, and I've really relished in that. And at the start of lockdown point one, we only came out of lockdown on Monday. So
Wow.
yeah, the I started meditating like more focused, and I started doing a Kundalini practice 290 days ago, and that has been an absolute game changer for me. I just like the clarity and the connection and the openness. So I think
Yeah.
doing less and more meditation has been a big thing to set me on fire. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So is it like a Kundalini yoga practice or is it
Yeah, I
more?
think so. One of my friends was is super into Kundalini yoga, and she'd done 1,000 days of this meditation, and I had noticed this like shift.
Yeah.
She lives in Germany, and so I'd been there several times for work, and every time I saw her, she was like deeper into the 1,000 days, and I was like, "You're really shifting from this. I want to try it." So her and her sister taught me the Kriya. So I've never ever been to a Kundalini yoga class, and I've
Yeah.
never even like entertained the lineage before. But when I saw the shift in my friends, I was like, I want to do that. So I started the meditation, and I'm 290 days in, and I don't see it ending soon.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love Kundalini yoga and I've tried it and I've just like dabbled in it here and there, like watched videos on YouTube, but I imagine just because I've had like powerful results from just, practicing it here and there. So I imagine like doing it on a consistent basis would be a
Yeah,
game changer.
I find it really similar to Kriya yoga, like the tantric tradition. Like I went to an ashram in India a few years ago, and studied the Kriya system, and there was like a real similarity in it for me. And I love anything that's in devotion of the divine. So like any lineage, I'm happy to dance with it. And so I think that's what I love most about the practice I do, is you're just consistently chanting the divine's name for like 22 minutes, and it just feels
Wow.
so nice to me.
Yeah. And what about like physical movement? Is that like a big part of your practice?
Yeah, I have a CrossFit gym at home now, which is so
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love physical movement. I think that is a huge part of raising your vibration and consciousness, is to fully arrive in the body and to understand the body. So yeah, physical movement every single day is a big thing. And it used to be only yoga, but now it's a bit of everything, even Peloton. Have you tried that?
I haven't.
It is so fun.
Do you do the classes?
Yeah, I have a Peloton bike, and it is amazing, like incredible, and the music is unbelievable.
I feel like everybody who has a Peloton bike is like the biggest raving fan.
Yeah, honestly, I at first was like, that looks cheesy, and then I now I'm on the bike and I have my hands up in the air and I'm like, dancing with the teachers. It is so funny. The
It's
music's just so good.
it's awesome that like it has the same effect of like being in an
Like
awesome
a
spin
cycle
class.
or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I love that. Well, Kyle, I want to ask you about your journey because I find it fascinating and just your story of how you got started doing the work that you're doing in the world.
yeah. So I've been doing this for a long time now. More than half of my life I've been doing angel work, which is insane. And I've kind of grown up in the new age, in the kind of spiritual spotlight. But it all kind of started when I was much younger. I had many spiritual experiences, and it was after I had a virus when I was younger, called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it's an autoimmune virus that attacks the nervous system and leaves you paralyzed. So I had spent about a year in a wheelchair learning to walk again after this virus, and it was in that space I started to learn about the power of my kind of thoughts and mind, because I wasn't able to like physically go from my bedroom to another room. I used to imagine myself doing it, and I could like often kind of pick up what was going on in the next room even though I was still in the other room. And it was around that same time my grandmother's health deteriorated very rapidly, and she was living with us in our family home, also in a wheelchair. So we're two wheelchairs, one home. My mum's our main carer. And we developed this really strong bond. And I remember this one night, I had recovered, I had learned to walk again, and school was starting, and my grandmother was moved to the hospital. And I had, a few days had passed. This one night, a neighbor was looking after me and she put me to bed. And I woke up for the night and my nana was in the room. And she like sat at the bottom of my bed and she flipped me on my belly and she tickled my back, which was like my favorite thing because I had several lumbar punctures when I was younger. And so my back is always, till this day, my most sensitive space. And yeah, and I remember the next morning getting up and looking for her, and she wasn't anywhere to be seen. And it turns out she'd actually passed away. And my parents used the term "Nana has went to heaven," and all those things you hear about heaven. It's like a place you go, but you'll never see anyone until you go there. Like the traditional kind of Judeo-Christian concept. And I had this question from then. Um, if my nana went to heaven, why did I see her? Like that was my big life question, and it,
Yeah.
it followed me through my life, all the way through my life, and my whole kind of younger years. I was kind of labeled with different things like ADHD, most likely dyslexic or dyspraxic. Just someone who can't concentrate or hold a full conversation or sentence, and I kind of fumbled my way through life with another major issue as an after effect of the virus. I had a migraine headache that lasted 11 years.
Wow.
And so I had all like these things happen. It was quite traumatic because the week my grandmother passed away, my parents had a big, massive fight, broke up, and I started school. So it was like a big, traumatic week. And I
Did you
think,
tell your parents about that experience?
yeah, so I had said, my nana came home last night. She was in my room. She tickled my back, and my mum was like, "No, no, 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 no," and like, "You must have been dreaming. You must have been dreaming." But it was over the course of the next few years, like weird things would happen where I'd be like, "Mum, there was someone in my bedroom last night, and he wanted to say this," and she'd be like, "Well, that seems interesting." And they did actually take me to the doctor over it. And the
Uh-huh.
doctor's just like, oh, he's having too much candy, like he's eating too much like sugary items, or it could be dairying, does he have cheese after 7 p.m., like all those things that. And my parents took me off all the things with like additives in it, and I got even more weird. So they put me back on them. Yeah, so I got to like there was other weird things that happened. I would speak to people's dogs and pet a dog, but no one else could see the dog, and I'd be naming the dog that died 10 years earlier. It was just like weird
Wow.
things happening. So my mum, her next door neighbor was having this really famous psychic come over. She actually just passed away recently, and she was severe, like a severe psychic. She could tell you how much money you had in your wallet. Like she was just like spooky, and she basically turned up at my mum's friend's house. My mum was a mobile hairdresser at the time, and she said, "I'm looking for someone called Diane." And my mum's friend was like, "How did you know she was coming here?" And they went, she's like, "The spirits have told me I need to speak to her immediately." And she's like, "Well, Diane's working. She's going to come and be the last reading of the night." And she's like, "I can't read her anyone in this house until she comes." So supposedly my mum left someone, took someone's perm out early and ran to the psychic. And the psychic, first of all, channeled this man. My mum found a man dying in the street when she was younger, and she saved his life. She gave him CPR.
Wow.
And she said his full name. She said, "I have this man, full name, like first and last name, and he wants to thank you for saving his life," because he went on to live many years after. And then she said, "I have a woman here now called Agnes, and she wants to speak about Kyle, the blue-eyed boy who can see angels." Like just like that.
Wow.
And my mum was just like spooked because, and this was like $20 readings. We're not talking about, we're not, you know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't showing off, or, this woman was just legit.
Yeah.
And she
Gifted.
made this, yeah, she made this prediction. She said, "By the time your son is 17, he'll be known in the world for doing what I do." And she said, "And it'll be after you go on a cruise ship." And she was right. My mum and I went on a cruise when I was like 16, and I came back, and the Daily Mail had wrote an article about me, the youngest medium in the UK. Uh, so it
And
was like,
did she predict that your face would be like on a billboard or like on the
yeah,
newspaper or something?
she just, she's like, "By the time your son is 17, he'll be known nationally for doing what I do. And it'll be after you come off of a cruise ship." So we come off the cruise ship, and like a week had passed, and I was in the middle pages of the Daily Mail.
Wow.
It's just like so spooky.
And how did your mom react to it all? Like,
I think my mum at first was like, "This woman's making this up," but then the finest minute of details, like people, not just like a random name, but like first and last name. And the guy's name
yeah.
was a quite a Scottish name. I don't know if I should say it because I don't have permission, but she said this name, and it was like really precise.
Right. And it
Yeah.
must have been like, for your mom having both of those pieces together was like, okay, like.
Yeah, so she kind of left it in the back of her mind, but my mum's grandmother was also like an intuitive. She used to do readings, and so my grandmother had also hosted seances when my mum was younger, and my aunt, who later became like a newborn Christian, had also participated in doing readings for money. So there was like this lineage of readers,
Yeah.
and then my ancestry's Scottish and Irish, and Irish have so many seers there. And so anyway, what had happened is I kind of went through my life, and I started to become interested in all of that kind of stuff when I discovered Buffy the Vampire Slayer at like maybe 13. Became
Uh-huh.
obsessed with Buffy, and it led me into crystals, and then crystals led me into tarot, and that led me to Reiki, and then like angels became like the topic.
Yeah.
And I started to like learn to meditate. I was friends with my religious education teacher in school. She was a Buddhist, and I used to meet her at lunch, and we'd meditate together, and do angel cards together and speak about like karma and all these things. And my mum knew I was starting to get to that point, and so when I got to just under my 15th birthday, she took me to that psychic lady, and the woman just like picked me out of the audience, like, "You're one of us," kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I was like, "Yeah, I can see angels." And so like she kind of initially took me under her wing for a little while, and it was the first kind of place I'd ever been. It was a spiritualist church. I don't know if you have them there, but basically it's like a congregation. And instead of having a minister, they have a medium. The medium goes up and like
Oh, I
just
love that.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
But it's like lots of old people and they all, it's like going to church. It's like real church, like stagnant at times. But the mediums are insane. They're like because they don't do. They're not about. It's not a business for them. It's like their spiritual practice.
Calling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just like they feel like ministers and they read people like so good. So I started going there, and eventually one night I was there. They invited me up to like do it. No formal training, no,
Were
you
you
know,
scared or were you just like,
I just stood up and it happened. I was just like, there is someone coming through me and I'm going to share it. And so that happened. And then I had started getting good at doing angel card readings on the side of it. The spiritualist church only channeled the dead, and I still felt so called towards the angel. For me, like the angelic is more non-human. It's like divine intelligence.
mm,
And I went to a family friend's barbecue that summer, and I was practicing doing angel readings, and it was just kind of a bit of fun at first, but then this one day I seemed to have something going on, and I could hear music. I was doing a reading for this guy, and I said, just clear your mind, think about anything you'd like to hear about, and I guess I was trying to be spiritual, like I hadn't quite found my way, and like just be positive and da da da. And then all of a sudden, I started to hear music in my mind, and I
mhm.
thought I was going crazy. I was like, I can feel the song, and it was Destiny's Child, Survivor, and I could hear it. And I was like, "Can you hear Destiny's Child, Survivor?" And he's like, "No, what are you talking about?" And I just knew it was for him. I was like, "This song is for you." And then I closed my eyes and I said this little prayer. I said, if there's an angel here, thank you for coming through with your message. And I opened up my eyes and there was an angel, like a bright white pillar of light. And it was like golden, and it looked like the movie Cocoon, if you've ever seen it, like they're kind of like alien-y and they had
Okay.
big eyes and I was like, oh my God, and then I was like, there's an angel standing behind you, and the guy's like, what are you talking about? Like this was all happening at once, and then I heard this message in my head. It just said, "Tell this man he is the survivor." It was like that, and I was like, "There's an angel standing behind you, and it's just told me in my mind that you're a survivor." And he's like, "What do you mean I'm a survivor?" And I was like, it feels to me that, and I started to see all this stuff. I was like, it feels like you've tried to leave the earth. And he was like, okay. And I was like, and it feels like you've been kept alive, and that was what I was saying. And it turns out this man had tried to take his own life several times.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
Yeah, and I could see what clearly saved him, and he freaked out, and you know everything changed from that moment onwards, because when you live in a small fisherman's town, the word spreads really fast, and people just started calling my mum's house like, is your son the boy that can speak to angels? I'd like to speak to him.
Wow.
And that was it. Like, I didn't really set up a business, the business set me up.
Yeah. And you embraced it too. Like was there times where you're like, I don't know about this? And
So hard. It's not, it sounds terrible to say it like that, but it was pretty hard to put yourself out there like this kid, and everyone's like listening to Nirvana and feeling the angst, and here's me coming along like, I can see angels. you know so it was kind of like hard for a minute, but I knew I needed to do it.
because I've
And
just imagined as like a teen, like your peer group, or were you like kind of,
I was like the single gay guy with all the girls, so they were a bit more accepting, and I hadn't really came out yet, but it was kind of like an unspoken thing. And so I'd already kind of stuck out for that reason because I was quite gothic and I hung around with the girls called the Pinks in school, you
Uh-huh.
know, and I want to call them the mean girls, but I guess they were, you know. And sorry, guys. I'm still friends with a lot of them, but they were like this group of like, polished blondes,
Yeah.
and but they were actually pretty accepting of me, and they kind of like embraced me and kind of looked after me in school, which was pretty amazing,
Yeah,
you know.
that
And
is.
so yeah, I managed to get out of school. I walked out one day and never came back. I was 15, and you know, I had I just felt like I wanted to do what the angel thing, but the I went to the business office in the town and they're like, "You're too young to start a business. You should be in school." And I was like, "Okay." So I went and got a job in a hairdresser's for about a year and I swept up hair every single day in this for £60 a week, which is just like what, $74 a week. And that was my first job. And then when I got a little bit older, I had just been doing readings through the back door, basically, just for like cash in hand. And I then went to the business office when I was old enough, and they gave me money to start my angel business.
Yeah, you got like a grant, right?
I got a grant. It wasn't like, but I think it was like $2,000 or pounds or something, but it was like enough. It was
Yeah,
that was like a lot of money then,
right.
And I had been living in this like single parent household, and there's times my mum didn't even have gas or electricity, so it was just like it was tough times, but getting that money was just like a big. My mum worked in the travel industry. Just people like, well, why are you on a cruise then? She used to get like these free trips and cheap.
Uh-huh.
That's why I got cool trips, but we might not have had any money to go otherwise. So
Yeah, that must have
yes.
been like confirmation to receive that.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool, and but all of the older kind of psychics and spiritualists in my town kind of had a problem with it because they're like, "You're far too young. You're too inexperienced." I probably was, but I had to make it work. Like I had no school education. I had no, there was nothing.
I'm always so curious about people that kind of grow up in the limelight, and have like, because at such a young age, you're writing books and
Mhm.
you know, what
Yeah,
was that like? Because I feel like you're growing and you're evol transforming so much in those
yeah,
ages.
it was hard. I get, but it was also like it was really a amazing journey because like I was getting to tell people about their angels and giving people information that would give them confirmation or worthiness and feel like they had a part to play in this world, and that's what I loved so much. I was like I was high on it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I guess there was a lot that came with it because when I was on TV at 17, I couldn't even drive a car, but I was on national television doing readings for celebrities. It was just like such a strange time. I was a published author before I lost my virginity. That's weird. So no, it was like just it was a lot, but I'm so glad I've done it. And I did segue for a while. I went back to college for a year and studied music just to like have a minute. And I was still doing readings on the side, but I ended up really loving music and I pursued it for a bit and I put the angels to bed for about 2 years, from 20 to 22.
Oh, interesting. Did it ever become like too much, the communication?
That was it. I was just like, I was done. I was just like zapped. I was seeing like 45 people a week for an
Wow,
evening. And I
that's
was
a
booked
lot.
like, about a year in advance at that time. And it was just like, I could not see a window of breathing space for more than a year. And that just felt suffocating. And it was like, I when you do readings for people, at first I think, oh, this is going to be so nice to like tell people about their life, but then you start seeing the harshness of life itself, and dealing with people's abuse and trauma and darkness and
Yeah.
shadow, and you know there was just some things that stuck out to me. Found it. I remember this one reading, it haunted me. I was doing a reading for a white woman, and she was from North Carolina, and her family's help came through, like a black woman who was like the housekeeper, who was
Yeah.
essentially her mother, like because her mum was this like posh and living this high vibe, high, fancy life, and like, and I remember just feeling like, here's this woman, someone else's mother, who never really got to mother her own children, and is
Mhm.
coming through the reading to see that. I remember being haunted by things like that. I was like, how can people be like that, and
You
the
see so
woman,
much.
yeah, the woman who was coming through, like this, the spirit, where she had an abusive life working for this rich white family, and seeing it all, and I was just like, this is just too much. I just couldn't cope, it was
Yeah.
just so intense.
In addition to doing so many readings, did you also find that like at that point in time, the angels were just constantly communicating with you? Like,
Yeah, I remember going table shopping with my mum, and the woman who was serving us, I could see all the stuff around. I was like, this is going to be really weird, but do you mind if I tell you about, you know? And I said, I remember seeing this golden Labrador dog that was following her around, and I was like, I know this sounds weird, but sometimes I can see angels and stuff. And she's like, oh, okay, I've heard it all now, kind of thing. And I said, well, there's like this golden Labrador, and it's so desperate to get your attention, and she had just lost it, And so I'm in the middle of a furniture store telling this random woman I've never met about this, and so yeah, it happened a lot. I was like I called myself like a walking psychic nightmare, because it's kind of invasive of people's privacy,
do
to
you find that now, like, you have ways of like calling that in and like protection and yeah,
nothing. I don't even pick up anything.
really?
Yeah, I can just be like completely off radar.
Yeah.
Um, but I can still always connect with my team, and
How
and
big
I'm
is your team?
of angels. I don't know. I always just speak to one angel all the time. It's just this one angel I can
Uh,
feel. He looks like Barack Obama.
really?
I have an Obama tattoo for that angel, because like when I first had this vision of him, he was just like Barack Obama with wings. I was like, whoa. Some people were really triggered when I said that.
Because they have like a certain
Yeah, like
expectation.
political agenda or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I can't trust this guy. He says his angel looks like Obama. I'm just like, but he does. And I think that was a really, I'll tell you the reason for that. It was this one day I had woke up and I saw this like black man standing by my bed, and he was wearing armory. It was incredible. It was like so beautiful. But yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm not ready for whatever this represents. And
Mhm.
that same day, I had been invited to write a column in a national newspaper, and I didn't feel ready for it, but I ended up taking the position and staying 5 years, which led me to being published for my first book. So it was like a big thing. But I think there was a reason why the angels let me see my angel as a black man. And it was because I knew I was going to end up in this white world, like the spiritual white world, and
Mm,
going to be rubbing shoulders with like spiritual elite people.
yeah.
And it was like on the lens of the white person. And I knew that I couldn't speak for anybody, but I knew that I was going to be able to change my little segment of the world. And I was I guess, the first ever author at my publisher to ask for a diverse lineup of angels.
Yeah. I noticed that. It's
It's really
awesome
important.
to
It was really
see.
important for me, but I don't think that's just for me to do. I just felt like it was just my way of like introducing it to my corner, and and kind of, I guess, encouraging anyone who feels called to do that, who is not white, to like step forward and do it, because it's
Yeah.
wired. And so that actually gave me space to then be, um, in big places with influential people to be like, hey, we should have a bigger, more diverse lineup than this, And
Yes.
it was banked on that one experience. So like it made me go, no, I need my angel to be black in my deck.
I love
And
that.
it was really cool.
Yeah. Is your grandmother, are you still very connected with her?
Yeah, all the time. And when I do my Kundalini thing, I call it the field, and I feel like myself in this like field, and I can feel her there
Oh, I love that.
every day, every day. But people are I can feel people who are alive in the field too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
Do you feel like everybody can communicate with angels?
100%. I don't think this is for the gifted. I think we can all do it. Um, I think it's just about awareness and also recognizing that we're worthy of it.
Yeah. I feel like that's the number one block, would you say?
100%. I think we've been told for far too long, especially in like the patriarchy, like it's only for, high priests or,
Right.
rabbis or, it's only for these certain people. And it's not. And so like we've been conditioned as a planet to
Right.
for certain people, but it's for everyone. And then, like a lot of religions would start to say you can only do it if you're a prophet, you can only do it if you're a priest, you can only do it if you're a rabbi. And the reason for that was it kept people contained and it kept,
Totally.
coming to these services or religions or whatever. So I think gone are the days of the need for a leader. I think we're here to be our own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so powerful. What would you, I know you have a book on really raising your vibration.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Do you think that, yeah, I love the cover of it. Would you say that that's like an important key in order to be able to
Yeah.
communicate?
I love that book. And it was I f- I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to bring it a new version. But the main reason I wrote that book, because it's kind of when you read it now, it's like, oh, you could freshen that up. It was when Instagram first came out, and it was all hashtags through the book. And my goal with that book was I had initially just been working with um, predominantly females of a certain age,
Mhm.
and I knew that my generation needed to be in the conversation of spirituality and consciousness. And I decided I was going to write a book that was kind of targeted at them. And that's what it did. I got a younger audience. I was introduced to a younger group.
Yeah.
It was like an Urban Outfitters book, you just
Yeah.
sitting on the shelf in Urban Outfitters. You're like, oh, that looks cool, you know.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I believe that raising your vibration can be done a number of ways, but ultimately raising your vibration is just about devoting yourself to living a life that is of awareness of everything else around you. It's about being aware of every action and also every non-action. Like everything you're doing in your life is making some sort of shift or difference in the planet.
Mhm.
Um, so that book just asks you to dedicate 111 days to raising your frequency. But the goal is after you do that, you keep going.
Yeah, totally. I think once you become attuned to, the shifts in your vibration on like a daily basis or on just by like, you know, in
Yeah.
the present moment, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. And like loads of people are like, so what does it mean to raise your vibration? And we've all got this preconceived concept. It can be like, sitting meditating for this amount of time for this amount of days, but also can be saying no.
Totally.
Like raising your vibration is just like consistently coming back to your worthiness and claiming it.
Yeah. Do you have any fun like angel stories that you could share with us?
There was one I've been thinking about recently is I'm really nervous about coming in to the US. Like it just freaks me out.
Why?
I hmm?
Like, I'm
Oh,
just curious
I just
why.
think like I'm sure you've experienced it. Like when you're coming through passports in America, I am so freaked out by it. You know, again, I need to really be honest. Like I know that I should be fine, but this one time. I was going through, and I took an allergic reaction on a flight, and I'm allergic to sweeteners. Like chemical sweeteners, they make me pop out, and I came out in hives on my neck because they were in like the orange juice. You'd think like they wouldn't be there, and
Yeah.
so I got to the passport thing, and I put my hands up to you do your thing. Uh, anyway, so that freaked me out, and they pulled me aside and they emptied my bag and they got canines out on me, and it was just like one of those things. So I remember I was like, I'm never going back to America. So anyway, I ended up going back to America a lot. And this one time I was going to Philadelphia, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just like get the angels to make me invisible, and I'm just gonna like float on by. So I did this whole meditation on the flight for the last hour, like I am invisible, I am invisible, I can da, da, da. And Archangel Michael is surrounding me, no one can see me, I'm reflective, da da da. So I get to the passport guy, and I go to put my fingerprints up, and he can't get a read on my fingerprints. I'm like that, and he's like, it's like you're invisible, like that was his exact words. I was like, shit.
You're like, kind of what
He
I.
let me go. He's like, your passport looked fine. Yeah, your fingerprints aren't working for some reason, but your passport looked fine. We've seen you come in like 10 times this year or whatever. And then he lets me through. But I was like, I'm never asking for anything like that again. Like, you really need to be careful what you ask for, because quite literally you might get it. So I was like,
Yeah.
make me invisible. And I was.
What do you think are some good ways to get started with like a dialogue if you want to start communicating with your angels?
So my whole methodology about the angels is to change your prayers, and prayer doesn't have to be like a formal thing. It can just be a conversation. So I genuinely believe that everyone has an angel, and an angel isn't what you might think it is. So it's not like that wing thing at the top of the Christmas tree. It's essentially just divine consciousness that's with you, that can support you, and it does take form, but it's not limited by it. And so I believe everyone has this with them, and we can speak to it. And the way you speak to angels is best if you say thank you rather than please. So a lot of
Mm.
people will say, please help me with this and please help me with that. And the reason that does not work as well is because you're thinking that the future has the answer when the present is the only place that's powerful. So if you speak to your angels like, please, angels, help me with my relationship, it's like you're hoping the future delivers the help you need. Whereas if you can say, thank you, angels, for laying your healing hands on my relationship, it's like
Mm.
now. And so if there's an issue in your life or a challenge that you're facing, um, the best way to kind of start seeing a shift in your life, just thank the angels for laying their hands on it. So
Beautiful.
yeah, that's one of my favorite ways. And then there's another thing you can say, thank you for reminding me of your presence. And that's like to welcome in a sign.
Mm.
A lot of people are like, please send me a sign. No, like, because you're saying please, it's like you're stepping into a fear space, like you need to prove you're real.
Yeah, I've done
If
that before.
you want to start your relationship with your angels like that, I would say, thank you for reminding me that you're here. It's just a shift. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, the angels love us saying thank you, not because they want the praise, but because the gratitude we feel is
Mm.
the magnet to miracles.
Yes.
That's it.
That makes so much sense. Are you amazed at like how normalized your work has become like over the years since you got started?
Yeah, I guess it's made things a lot easier. Yeah. Uh, and it's just like a day to day. It's just my norm.
Right.
I'm quite happy with that. That feels good. When I first popped out, there wasn't much happening, but now you can like walk into high street stores and there's like crystals hanging everywhere. You go into like even like high fashion stores. I went to Tom Ford one time, and they had crystals all around the store. You would just never think, would you?
Right.
I wouldn't initially put that together. I was like, whoa, I was just looking, by the way.
What's the most non-woo-woo thing that you're into?
Non-woo-woo thing. I love beer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like one of my hobbies. I'm not a big drinker. I'm usually like 3 drinks max. That's usually it. It's usually two.
Yeah.
But I love beer. And last summer or 2 summers ago, my best friend and I went to California and we went all the way down the west coast and tried all the breweries, which was really fun.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I just love the taste of it. It's just delicious. But I didn't drink till I was 25, I think it was. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Uh,
We have such good style. Do you love shopping?
yeah. It's a bit of a problem. I yeah, I've always been interested in streetwear and like fashion and yeah, I've been to Paris Fashion Week, which
So
was
fun.
so fun. It's like the coolest experience ever. And I went on a sneaker building workshop there because I collect sneakers too. And it was just such an amazing experience.
Have you ever thought about designing like your own clothing line?
I thought about it, but I would love to do it. I was thinking about doing a hoodie recently, and but I don't think that's the right space for me. I thought about doing it with like like a mantra on it, and then I didn't want to use a Sanskrit mantra because I didn't feel like that was mine to like sell, and then I was like maybe I should make so that's not ever really it's not really ever manifested.
Yeah, I feel like if you ever do, it'll be a huge.
No, I love fashion though. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's and I always I've always been the buy less like buy less, like but buy great. So if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. But I've always had this thing whenever I buy something, I always say to the universe, I'm wearing this so I can strut my stuff for you. I always say that.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
I love. Where's your favorite place to shop?
I love. Have you heard of Off White? I'm sure you've heard of Off White. I love
Yeah.
them, and I I would say Off White. I'm wearing them now, actually.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah, I think they're a really cool brand, and I love what Virgil Abloh wanted to do. He wanted to change the fashion world and make it more again diverse. That was like his big main thing. So I was like, I'm all about this.
Yeah. For you, like what's on your radar that you're most excited about?
Like coming and
Yeah.
well, Scotland opened up on Monday, so it'd be
Right.
nice to see my friends. I've not seen any since September, so that would be.
Wow. At all. Yeah.
I've not been able to. So I had COVID twice, believe it or not. So
I haven't spoken with anybody that's gotten COVID twice. That's,
yeah,
yeah.
it was just one of those things. I didn't know if I had it twice or and then I felt a bit weird, and it was similar to the first time, and that was it. And I think by the sounds of it, I picked up in supermarket. So crazy.
Yeah. Was it
And
bad for you?
it was bad, but it was not bad as in like physically. It was like mentally draining. I've never felt so kind of scared, and that was weird for me because I've been anxious in my life and felt anxiety, but I've never felt weighed down. And my dad had long COVID as well, so it was just like it hit my family pretty hard.
Yeah.
My mother's brother passed away with it. It's just like, oh no, I've lost you. Are you there? Are you there?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, that was scary. So just the world opening up again is just going to be, it's going to be so cool. I can't wait to like go out for brunch and have someone make me French toast. How cool is that going to be? Like I am excited about that. You're
I
probably
know.
wanting a big answer, but I'm like French toast made for me.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I feel like this time has just made us really appreciate and be so grateful for the human connection, you know?
Have you noticed the flowers? Like that's been a big thing for me.
Yes.
'Cause I was like, I've never noticed flowers before until this year, like till the last year.
Yeah.
Like I was looking out over the yard and there's like trees in the distance and they're all flowered with like white flowering. I'm like, that is so amazing. I've never noticed that in my life.
Yeah. The connection to nature. And I forget like the reports, like when COVID first happened and the quarantine, like all the things that happen in nature as a result of just the limited amount of traffic and pollution. I just feel like in that sense, it was. Powerful.
Yeah, I just hope we're not finding masks in the sea for the next 40 years, which
True.
is inevitable. But it's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I do feel the world, will get better. Um, I hope so.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, because this has been a very challenging time for many people, and just curious if
Right.
the angels have, shared any messages to help us through this time.
But it felt so at the very start of it, I asked, is there anything that this time represents? And I remember getting this feeling that I didn't feel like what had happened in the planet was orchestrated by the divine. I don't think the divine works in such a way where it's like, I'm going to make so many people suffer. But I think there was a great undoing that happened where old systems that were just stagnant and old are starting to break down. And I feel like there has to be an undoing. But I think also this last year has shown people the power of their voice. Like everyone is realizing their voice, and it doesn't matter if you're believing this or believing that. Everyone's starting to realize that they have a power in their voice. I think the only way for the planet to fully heal, because I think this is the evolution we're in, and I think we can see it's an evolutionary time because we're the generation that has learned how to intuit how someone feels through a cell phone. If someone texts you, you can tell if they're not themselves. How can we do that? They're still writing and playing English or whatever, where they're not saying anything different, but we can feel through a
Yes,
phone if someone's not feeling well or themselves.
that's
How can we do that? It's just so interesting. So we've evolved. There's an evolution happening, but the evolution must be in unity. And I think the only way for that to happen is for the female voice to take lead.
mm,
Yeah.
yes,
The rise of the feminine.
absolutely. Yeah, this
Yeah, feminine energy. The planet's been so masculine and so driven. It needs to be more flow. And I think the energy that came around COVID was a feminine. It wasn't the creation of it, but how people slowed down and were in a more flow with life, like noticing flowers. It's in flow with life. It's not linear. It's cyclic. And I think that's the key to the healing of the world.
mm, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can't wait to see women take lead. Yeah.
Kyle, this has been such an amazing conversation. Oh my gosh. Do animals love you, by the way?
Sorry?
Do animals love you?
Yeah, yeah. I have two dogs. I have two Chihuahuas, but yeah, I'm a bit of an animal person.
Yeah, because I have a mini Labradoodle and he's been like
Oh,
at the
really?
door. Yeah, and like
Oh,
there, this morning I just felt like he was right around the computer. Like,
I have a tendency I love animals. I've just always been that guy.
yeah,
Love animals. Yeah, I think I've become even more of a dog person because of the world and
so
turning
many people have. Yeah,
so amazing. Like I just love waking up to a Chihuahua, like with its face in my face in the morning. I'm like, how have I been so lucky?
yeah, it's the best thing ever. They're so happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Kyle, where can people go to learn more about your work, get your books, your oracle cards?
Yeah, I guess just Instagram's a good place to start. Kyle Gray UK. Yeah, I feel I try and curate nice content on Instagram and informative, and that's a good place to start, I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has
So,
been
so nice to talk
incredible.
to you. Never got to ask you anything about you.
Next time, you'll have to come back on the show. We'd love to have you
Yeah,
back on.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.